Okay, let's try this out. Okay, looks like I am sharing. See if I can get this to, okay. Perfect. Looks like we're good to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my research presentation. My name is Robert Van Kuyk. I am seeking the completion of my master's in general psychology with an emphasis in life coaching. I have been developing this hypothetical proposal for some time, and I look forward to sharing it with you today. Okay. Perfect. So some relevant background, like any academic venture, it is first important to understand what the topic and research we are undergoing. Today, my proposed research, we're going to take a look at mindfulness. Mindfulness is a method of training certain aspects of our mind to become more resilient, attentive, positive, and generous. As a practice, mindfulness is typically applied in the study of coaching, counseling, and or psychotherapy as a method for increasing self-awareness and overall mental well-being. Ultimately, the reason for the implementation of mindfulness trainings will greatly depend on the circumstance. So my proposed research topic is leveraging mindfulness within the field of sports. Specifically, I will be asking, does mindfulness help athletes gain more fulfillment and perform better in their selected sport? The implementation of mindfulness trainings within sports is an up-and-coming field and presents an interesting potential. Mainly, mindfulness has the potential to decrease generalized and sporting anxieties, as well as increase sporting performance. A plethora of studies have been done and conducted to prove the correlation of mindfulness training and sporting performance. Not the least of these, Professors Lorenzo Calzado and Armin Keeble conducted a study titled How Different Types of Meditation Can Enhance Athletic Performance Depending on Specific Sport Skill, which found that long-term engagement in mindfulness meditation has been found to be an effective at achieving optimal athletic performance. Although promising, the study was limited as it simply determined meditation is likely to be beneficial rather than applying its benefit directly to any particular sport. Recently, further studies have built on this research and have actually taken the next step and applied the findings of Calzado and Keeble. One such study, Megan Hunt and others, a randomized controlled study of mindfulness sport performance, enhancement, and psychological skills training with collegiate track and field athletes, found that athletes showed significant reductions in total sport anxiety on subscales of worry and semantic anxiety. Although hugely influential in the application of mindfulness in sports, this study was also limited as it viewed only one sport, track and field, rather than the broad application of mindfulness to sporting as a whole. In all studies of mindfulness in relation to sport, the main takeaways are mindfulness is likely to be a benefit to athletes in some way. Mindfulness likely has a broad applicability in the world of athletics, and mindfulness application has yet to be successfully applied over a wide variety of sporting environments. This study would mitigate the previous concerns of scope and application through the introduction of mindfulness trainings to a select group of athletes over a wide variety of sports. These athletes would likely consist of student athletes at Division I schools, such as Grand Canyon University. This study would measure and identify its results through the rate of change in measurable effect throughout the sporting season. Length of sporting season is likely to vary and would therefore need to be mitigated by some broadly applicable scale. For the purposes of this study, the measures will be taken during quarters of each sporting season, so approximately 25% of each of the sporting seasons, and that is how the numbers will be taken. If the study were to be conducted, the proposed participants would consist of 571 student athletes, 294 men, and 277 women from various Grand Canyon D1 sports, 20 National Association of Sports Medicine, or NASM, certified mindfulness trainers, and one aggregator of data, likely to be myself. To measure the effect of trainings, mindfulness trainers would likely start by gaining informed consent, then conducting baseline measurements, followed by the implementation of the mindfulness trainings themselves. The effects of the mindfulness trainings will be measured really twofold by the following scales. Short Dispositional Flow Scale, or SDFS2, which is designed to assess from 1 never to 5 always the sporting flow and athlete experiences pre and post mindfulness training. Sporting Anxiety Scale 2, or SAS2, which is designed to assess from 1, not at all, to 4, very much, an athlete-specific sporting anxiety pre- and post-mindfulness training. Mindfulness Inventory for Sports, or MIS, which is designed to assess from 1, not at all, to 6, very much, an athlete's mindfulness during sports performance pre- and post-mindfulness training. And then 4, Sporting Rate Form, or SRF, which is designed to assess from 1, very poor, to 9, excellent, an athlete's sporting satisfaction pre- and post-mindfulness training. Additionally, relevant statistical analysis will be gathered to view the improvement of sporting performance. For example, relevant statistics may include shooting percentage for basketball, batting average for baseball, or lap time for swimming. In order to properly identify change in these rates, 2 separate tests must be conducted for sporting skills. A MANOVA test should be utilized. This would allow the study to identify the change of each scale in correlation with one another, as well as their effect on the dependent variables, sporting anxiety, as well as sporting performance. A t-test will also need to be conducted on the relevant sporting statistics in particular, as this will allow a statistical significance or lack thereof to be shown in the change of the statistics due to mindfulness trainings over the sporting season. Since each specific sport is likely to change dependent on sport, like, for example, batting average or shooting percentage, the data will need to be recorded as a percentage of overall goal, thereby neutralizing the units of each of those measures. For example, like I mentioned, baseball athletes may identify their goal to be an improvement of a 2.45 batting average, improved to a 2.75 batting average by season's end. This statistic would then be gathered as the rate of change and then be aggregated as a percentage over the season per those quarters. Since the data will be split into fourths, the baseline for each quarter will be 25% toward each goal, as obviously 25% is 1 quarter. If the data were to be gathered in this way, the MANOVA test would likely show an improvement of SDFS2, SRF, and MIS while showing a decrease in SAS2. This would prove that the mindfulness can help athletes of all sports decrease their sporting anxiety as well as perform better. It would also align with the results found in the Megan Hutz study. If this data were to be gathered in this way for sporting statistics in particular, the t-test would likely show an increase in successfulness of athletes taking part in the study versus those who did not. It is also likely to show an increase over the baseline of 25% gain per quarter. In all likelihood, too, the athletes that would not participate in those particular mindfulness trainings would also see some sort of gain over their goals in all likelihood. However, we expect that the mindfulness training would improve significantly the sporting performance. Future research, if to build on this particular research, would likely build on a potential of mindfulness implementation into professional sports. Some professional sports organizations already implement these techniques, like, for example, the Seattle Mariners. However, this study would likely point to an exploration of its benefits in the arenas of professional sports as a whole. It may also encourage additional exploration of the topic as a whole. After all, research suggests that mindfulness may improve general well-being and not just improve sporting performance, sporting anxiety, what have you. In conclusion, the proposed study would likely be beneficial as mindfulness is an upcoming field and it is in need of further research. Sports provide an intriguing environment for mindfulness trainings and their implementation, and this study may open the possibility of further implementation of mindfulness into other areas of practice, such as counseling and psychotherapy. Even though these fields implement mindfulness in some areas, the proposed research would likely increase the overall implementation of those practices, as ultimately, if the study were to be conducted in the way that we expect, it would likely show mindfulness to be a worthy practice in all fields, regardless of just sports or what have you. All righty, perfect. Thank you so much. I look forward to the feedback.